What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and this one will break down what's going on with the overall market, what you should be watching for moving forward. I'm also going to break down something very big that's happening to the market very soon, which is going to be the reason why I'm going to upload this video quickly and talk about something huge that's happening with the earnings that are coming out very soon and how this may affect the markets. Before breaking things down about all this information and talk about the big tech earnings which are starting today, let me just mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take none of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. The offer ends very soon, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. Anyways, looking at NIO, this thing's up 2.45% for the day. Once again, trying to hold up with the markets. But the real question is, how on earth will NIO move moving forward? Now, I told you guys that looking at their earnings for the banks especially, there was a good chance NIO could try to hold the levels it was at. Looking at the market especially, there's lots of strength in the market, and NIO got this nice pump to $11. However, I want to warn you all now that we have some very big news coming out. In the morning, we had Goldman Sachs reporting earnings. They ended up missing on earnings, but the market didn't really react too negatively to that. And now the bigger thing that's happening is today, after the market closes, we have Tesla, Netflix, United Airlines, IBM, and many other big, massive companies reporting earnings. Tesla is going to be the biggest one for the day, in my opinion. And what Tesla does is going to affect the entire market. These earnings are going to be huge, so make sure you're ready for this. If all of these companies hypothetically miss on earnings or they end up tanking after some bad news comes out, hypothetically, right? The market could get a cool off tomorrow. It's a possibility. Okay. There's a good chance that's going to happen. If they do very well, if Tesla becomes explosive and we get some very nice price action, Netflix and all these other companies as well, that's going to help the market pump. So I want to record this video and upload it early just to warn you in advance about this. I want to get this out there as fast as possible because if you're not comfortable with holding options overnight, this is your chance to exit them just to be safe. So there's going to be a very big move coming, and how the market moves will dictate NIO. If we get lots of beats and the market starts pumping very nicely tomorrow, NIO could pump as well with the market and make its way up to $11. If they don't do well and we end up getting some negative news and Tesla ends up tanking hypothetically, and Tesla does have a tendency of dropping after earnings, just to be safe, NIO could come down to 10.5 or lower than that into the 10.25 area. There could be a rug pull coming depending on how the earnings go. I can't predict it. I don't know exactly how it's going to be, but I do want to warn you guys that looking at Tesla, the margins have not been that great, and Wall Street could try to use this against them. So there's a risk of downside. It's a little bit more likely, but not a guarantee. So the best thing to do is just to be unbiased and wait and see how it goes. All right. So when it comes to data for tomorrow, we have initial jobless claims 1 hour before the market opens. At 5:30 a.m. for me in the west coast of the USA, or for people in New York, it's going to be 8:30 a.m. Then we also have other important pieces of data coming out. I also want to add that the price price ratio for NIO is very flat right now, which means NIO is not outperforming very hard or underperforming that much. Very flat. NIO tends to be green only about 51% of the time on Thursdays, so it tends to be a little bit weaker than like Wednesdays and Tuesdays. So just be prepared for that. And also, the short interest has been declining a bit with the market as we're seeing lots of short covering, which is helping NIO and other stocks continue to flourish. Now, what am I seeing for NIO? I want to remind everyone that some good news about NIO is the fact that it's getting some very good insights from analysts who are continuing to say that they're bullish on it, especially as we approach deliveries. And overall, they're very excited for what the company is going to be doing. There's also a lot of talk about how NIO will continue to grow. It's going to improve its prices. And over time, they could be producing a cheaper model. There's also talk about NIO's battery swapping technology and offering much more affordable options for more individuals, which is going to continue to help them out. There's also talk about right over here how it's charging about $52. Excuse me, sorry guys, $52 per month to use its latest driver assistance system. And all of this stuff has been quite bullish for them. So looking at this, we're seeing in Q1 they did about 31,000 deliveries. It did drop a little bit for Q2, but we're expecting a strong quarter. And they're saying that NIO is once again a very good stock to buy, but they need more earnings to give us more and more, insights on whether or not you should be buying into it. So we have to wait for earnings for NIO, which is going to be next month. But until then, at least according to their analysis of whether or not you should be buying or not. And besides that, I'm going to try to get this video as fast as possible just so that you guys could know and have the warning in advance before the big move comes to the market. So talking about SPY, okay? If we get very strong earnings and the market holds up very nicely, it is technically possible for us to break 456, but there's an increased probability of that not happening because I'm a little concerned about Tesla. The margins could lead to downside. So it's a little more likely we see SPY come down below 454 and start dropping a little bit more. But just to be safe, okay, just to be safe, be prepared for anything and know there's a little bit more of a higher probability of downside. That's my view of this. And we're going to be watching this all very, very carefully. Okay. So 454 to 454.5 are major supports and 456 is our major resistance. It is kind of stuck right now, but we do have a bearish divergence that has been developing, so just be very careful, and we will see what happens with earnings. For Tesla, if they have very strong earnings, it could gap up into the 300s and start pushing for 315. If we have bad earnings, and let's just say, even if earnings are like decent, but there's some kind of bad news associated with it, such as bad margins or something else like that, Tesla could always gap down. It's like the mid 280s, if not lower, and then start tanking down to like the 275 area. That's a possibility if we get bad earnings. So I just want to prepare you guys for that. And finally, for the QQQ, before I talk about NIO, strong earnings could set this thing all the way up for 387 plus. If it breaks above that resistance, it is possible for it to go up to about 390. But it's looking weaker than SPY as we're starting to see some weakness in tech. Not everything, like Apple's holding up nicely after some bullish news, but the QQQ is looking a little weak. If it breaks below 384, we're going to see this thing come all the way down to 382.5 potentially. So there's an increased risk of some downside in the triple Q. So just be prepared for this, looking at the 5-minute and also on the 4-hour time frames. So be prepared for that and just know there's an increased probability of some downside tomorrow, but I'm always open-minded just to be safe depending on earnings. NIO could try, let me just pull up the 4-hour time frame. This is once again on a nice uptrend, holding above the 50 EMA, but there were instances where it came down to the 200, which would take this thing down to these imbalanced levels. If NIO breaks below this 10.5 area, it's going to come down to the 10.25 zone. Then we have this imbalance down here, which could be tested around this 9.9 area. And if that fails us, there's 9.5. So I just wanted to put this all out there as fast as possible. Please be well aware of this warning I have for all of you. I do apologize that I rushed through this video. I just want to get this out here before the market closes, so you have preparation to secure profits on like SPY or Tesla or any other place that you have. I want the best for everyone. That's why I'm doing this. And with that said, I just want to thank you all so much for listening. As far as NIO goes, NIO is still a company that has decent fundamentals. I'm not too sure about this latest quarterly earnings report because NIO did see less deliveries, but for the future ones, it is still projected for lots of growth because deliveries are getting better. And if NIO can maintain some strong deliveries, it has a lot of potential for major upside. For the medium term, I could see NIO hit the 13, 14s, and etc. As long as they have decent earnings and then they continue to give us lots of growth for their deliveries, it could reach in much higher levels. $12, $13, and etc. are still very possible. Okay, so thank you for listening. I apologize if I sound like I rushed this video. I want to just get this as fast as possible out there. And have a great day, everyone, okay? So watch these levels. We'll see what happens with earnings, and I'll see you guys in the next one. NIO to the moon is the long term is very bright, and peace out.